This week on the John DeLong Show, we throw out the daily podcast model in favor of a little bit of positivity. Let's hit the music. Oh, hey there. How's it going? My name's John DeLong, and welcome to the John DeLong Show. Welcome to episode number 34. Hope that you're having a good week. I know that I'm having, I don't know, it's kind of been a weird one, to be honest with you. But we'll get into that. We'll get into all of that. Like I said at the top of the show, we're not doing sort of the normal thing, well, the new normal thing this week. And there's a bit of a backstory to that. I'm not doing the, hey, it's Friday thing. This week on the Friday afternoon fiesta. I had started and was doing the weekly daily podcasting sort of audio journal thing this week. I was sort of, going along, and we were talking about the World Cup a little bit and talking about the things in the news, and I was taking a listen back to it in order to get it prepared for uploading, because I had that epic fail last week. I don't know when you caught the John DeLong Show last week, if you happened to listen, but I get a text from my cousin Lisa, and she's like, "You messed up your editing, John. There's two voices at once. You're talking on two different days at once." I had sort of moved part of Sunday, but not all of Sunday. So some of Sunday ended up being like in Friday. It was a weird thing. Anyhow, I wanted to be sure that I didn't have any sort of issue like that this week. So I was sitting down to edit, and man, like the show was depressing. And I didn't really care for it. Like, I like to think of this show as being a place where I can just share my views on the things, share my feelings on things. I think of this show really, like I say, like it's kind of like an audio journal. It's kind of like a personal blog in podcast form, and like I've sort of come to that realization recently. It's something that, I know is going to be maybe what puts a bit of a tamper on this show becoming any bigger than it already is. And quite frankly, I'm okay with that, because I like this as an outlet. It's a good creative outlet for me. It keeps me focused on doing something, on creating something every single week. But I don't want it to be just like a show about John getting angry about things every single week. I want it to be a show where I can celebrate things as well. Of course, if there's something that I want to ramble about or rant about, I'm going to do it. But the episode as it was, if I had uploaded that, I wouldn't have felt good about it. That's not to say that I'm not going to talk about some of the things that I was upset about, that I was angry about on this new version of the show. It's just going to be in a much more truncated form, and just like right here, actually, in the intro bit. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some things that I'm happy about, that I'm enthusiastic about, we're going to make this a little bit of a shorter episode this week, just simply because I'm recording it is what I just said there. I'm recording it quite late in the game, and I want to make sure that this is ready to upload nice and early in the afternoon, if I can swing it. I like the afternoon upload time. I think I like that a little bit better than dropping it at 7 a.m. As I have been. That's 7 Atlantic time, because I live in what's got to be the weirdest time zone in North America. Just sort of feels like it's like us, like the Maritimes, and no one else. It's really strange. I don't understand it, is what I'm driving at here. Like I just kind of wish that we could be on Eastern time, because then television schedules would be less to think about. And I know it's only adding or subtracting an hour, but like Oh, it would be nice. It would be nice ultimately to only have to stay up until 11 to finish watching a show or a game or whatever that ends at 11 Eastern, rather than having to stay up until midnight. That's take that. That's my hot take on time zones there. Yikes. All right, I am just going to, like I said, I'm going to talk real quickly about a couple of things that I had in my sort of anger cast this week before I deleted it all. So it's all gone, so you're not going to get to hear any of that because I can delete private mistakes. Take that, reality. So first of all, I wanted to talk really quickly about Chloe Dykstra publishing on Medium last week allegations of sexual assault, physical assault, emotional assault from her ex-boyfriend and sort of now ex-media icon, because he's looking like he's done, Chris Hardwick. Hardwick, so you're probably going to know him best from, if you don't know him, you're probably going to know him best from hosting the Nerdist podcast, which was then later named ID10T. He also hosted a number of shows on AMC, Talking Dead, Talking Bad, Talking Saul, Talking with Chris Hardwick. All of those have been suspended for the foreseeable future while these allegations are sort of floating around. He also hosted panels at San Diego Comic-Con. He certainly lost those gigs. Anyhow, Dykstra posted this thing on Medium. It was originally unlisted, but kind of made the rounds, and a lot of folks read it. If you do get the chance, of course, keep in mind all the content warnings. There's also some anorexia that goes on in there as well. She never names Chris Hardwick by name, but everybody can kind of piece it together. She talks about how she dated a mediumly successful podcaster who became a powerhouse CEO of his own company. It doesn't take too many leaps of logic to figure out who she was talking about. I'm unsubscribed from Chris Hardwick's podcast. Honestly, I think that I don't need to support him anymore. The thing of it is like a lot of the stuff rings true to me, and certainly it's one of those things where I believe women, and I believe Chloe Dykstra simply because I don't think she really had anything in particular to gain from making these allegations public. She's not charging Hardwick with anything. She's just telling the story of what happened to her, and the way that she described him and some of his darker behaviors. And I should say, the Medium article does talk about her negative interactions with Hardwick. She also does talk about what moments that were good with him, I guess, is the best way that I could put it. But I don't know. I think it's an important read. I think that it's a worthwhile read, and a giant bravo to Dykstra. Of course, Hardwick and his camp have denied most of the allegations uncategorically. I just, I just wish that men in power like that would just, if they're not willing to own up to everything, if they're not willing to own up to having done monstrous things, because I think the thing of it is as dudes, I think we have all exploited power dynamics in our relationships, both romantic and non-romantic alike, whether we mean to or not. You know what I mean? I think even if it's not a wholly intentional thing. I think everybody's done it, and it would be nice if, even if he's not willing to own up to the entirety of what Dykstra has sort of said, it would be nice if Hardwick would maybe just say, like, obviously there's some things that need working on in my life, and I'm trying to work through them, and I'm going to do my best to be better, and I genuinely apologize for any harm that I caused. That would be, like, I don't know. Of course, there's, like, legal things at play there, so I don't know. I'm not gonna miss Hardwick in my day to day. That's, I guess, the way that I'm gonna put it. Second piece of negativity that I want to talk about real quick. I'm gonna maybe not ramble about it as long as I did about Chris Hardwick, but of course, Tent City Gate going on in the United States. People who are going into the United States from some of their southern neighbors seeking asylum, being ripped from their children. That whole episode debacle thing that was on the go this week. Obviously, I come down pretty strongly against literal fascism that Mr. Trump, old 45, has been propagating. So anyhow, here's my, like, crazy person conspiracy theory, which completely falls apart once you start looking at facts, as all conspiracy theories do. So this policy of taking kids away as a deterrent to have people come into the United States seeking asylum, right? The policy that they had up until Trump rescinded that through an executive order this week. That policy, they knew in the Trump camp, Trump's handlers, who I got to think that there's at least one smart person in the room. So anyhow, Trump's handlers know that this is an incredibly upsetting, incredibly awful policy that nobody's going to really like. And I think if you look at the breakdown of, like, how it was polling, it was, like, universally panned by Democrats and independents, and, like, something like 65% of Republicans, because let's be real, even some of the Republicans are human. That's unfair of me. I'm sorry. That's unfair. Some of them are not human, because it's only 65. So, the Trump camp knows that this is an incredibly unpopular policy, but they go with it anyhow, and they send out who to really stump for this new policy: Attorney General Jeff Sessions. This whole thing is cover to give Trump a reason to fire Jeff Sessions as AG, appoint a new AG who doesn't have to recuse himself from the investigation headed by Robert Mueller. This is how the Robert Mueller investigation stops. Not bad for a crazy person conspiracy theory, right? I, of course, don't believe it, because, again, they rescinded the whole policy, like, after a couple of days. And also, I don't think there's anybody smart in the room with Donald Trump, because if there were, well, if there is, like, they don't speak. Like, they have no way of communicating. Because if a smart person were in the room, like, I'm not saying somebody I agree with, right? I'm saying, like, a person who at the very least understands how politics works. like this is, like, the second big thing that Trump has, I guess, like, third big thing that Trump has tried to, big policy shift that Trump has tried to push. Two of them have been about immigration, and then, of course, there was healthcare. It's a third instance where it's all fucking fallen apart. Just, I don't know. Here's what I'll say. The midterms cannot happen soon enough, because I think you will see a blue wave. And if that blue wave does, in fact, happen, we can actually start to have a genuine conversation about, maybe stopping some of Donald Trump's more, let's say, blatantly fascist ideations and policies, like a Muslim ban, like internment camps,